welcome to the full moon eclipse reading in Leo, the gateway to the cosmic heart. Leo rules the heart, and this full moon is very much about creating our reality that is aligned to our soul's purpose, our higher self, being true to the heart regardless of the consequences. And interestingly, we had the sun literally flew out the deck as I was shuffling the cards, the planet of Leo. Also, happiness, joy, bliss, enthusiasm, creative energy, success, literally an agent of illumination and awakening. Beautiful message that wanted to fly out. So as you can see, I've already shuffled and laid out the cards, so we're going to go straight into it. Now, some really intense energies here, and there's a very powerful message that's coming through. We have at the bottom of the deck the Seven of Swords twice, both in the Mariel Tarot and the Thoth Tarot deck. Seven of Swords again, and the Ten of Swords, very dramatic. So just before you get worried, 10 is about completion. So this is really pointing towards any suffering, betrayal, grief, heartbreak, challenges that we've been working through, specifically in the past 7-year cycle. And interestingly, we have the Seven of Swords here twice, are really being highlighted now and illuminated, coming to the surface with this eclipse. Eclipses are very much about releasing things. Well, the full moon generally is about releasing something that is ready to be let go, something that no longer serves us, that we no longer need in our life, either an experience or an emotional way of being, a specific relationship or person, toxic, unhealthy situations, or aspects of ourselves that we've outgrown. So you may have been feeling this intensity really building, and January may have felt quite terrifying in that sense, where you may have felt that the beginning of the year has been quite intense, with a lot of things coming up to be seen that have been unresolved. And so this eclipse is very much this huge opportunity on a collective level to release these things that are no longer serving us. So on the personal level, this is, interestingly, underneath we have karmic justice and the world. Beautiful. And the Fool. I mean, that pretty much says it all. This is really a time for closing karmic cycles, completing, achieving a level of karmic justice on lessons that we need to learn, and achieving that balance and completion from those cycles so that we can step into this new beginning in our lives, having left any pain or suffering behind us. And so beautiful, interesting, we have the sun and the moon together, so there's this message of integration of opposites, and the moon is really highlighting aspects that have been hidden, aspects in our shadow that need to be illuminated and brought up to the surface. A strong message here of, this is the special edition deck and the card of the matriarch, so a strong message here about healing the mother wound, the ancestral line of the feminine, and bringing that energy into union, the masculine and feminine energies coming into union with a focus of unconditional love and the divine feminine, and healing the heart. This is really the strong message of the eclipse, very powerful. And interestingly, under the Thoth deck, we have the Queen of Cups and success, and strength, the Leo card. So yes, Leo comes up in their own full moon eclipse reading. So the Leos, again, it's all about the heart, being true to one's heart, no matter what the consequences are, being true to yourself. And it's very much been a journey of learning self-love the past 7 years. And so that's why you may be feeling that intensity right now, is really the unresolved emotions coming to the surface. our darkness, our shadow work, that now needs to be completed. And this is really a really strong message that's um, it's time now to focus on this and on completing this, on leaving things behind that no longer serve us. Um, so, on a collective level, the energy to be left behind, we have the Hierophant. So, that's really interesting because the Seven of Swords traditionally in the traditional deck is very much about betrayal. It's a sense that something's been stolen from us. Betrayal in so many different aspects, you know. So for the feminine, you know, they've very much felt betrayed by the masculine. They've felt betrayed by society. You know, this false story, feminist story of that you can have everything, and perhaps having sacrificed their feminine aspects in order to achieve that. The masculine feeling betrayed by society in the sense of, I mean, the Hierophant is very much about social norms, what conventional structures of education and religion and societal beliefs, and those sort of rigid structures within which humanity has unfolded. And, you know, there is this deep awakening now coming out of it's kind of like, yeah, the sun is really all about epiphany. The eclipse is really going to force this up to the surface, this awareness that perhaps we've been living under the conditioning of someone else's rules and reality of how we should be, this very manipulative reality. And there's the sense now of leaving that behind, leaving behind the structures where, you know, men have felt betrayed in the sense of their roles of having to repress their emotions and not really express their true desires of who they really are, or express their emotions on any level, and what being masculine was meaning in a societal level. And so that's really the strongest thing that needs to be left behind. So, you know, this is related to both the feminine and the masculine wound, and them specifically on this theme of betrayal, which is very interestingly, and it's come up twice in these two cards at the bottom of the deck. So yes, I would say, you know, the Hierophant is really about, interestingly, yes, sorry, it's clarified by the art card in the Thoth deck. So that is, in the Thoth deck, it's related to the Temperance card. And it's all about alchemy, the art of alchemy, the ability to solve and combine, to literally transmute these negative energies, this darkness, this pain, this grief, this heartbreak, whatever your personal wounds and the collective wounds are. It's very much about the ability to transmute that, but not only transmute it, but yeah, you're literally turning something difficult into something precious, something beautiful, and achieving perfect balance, harmony, beauty, and peace and fulfillment. So there's a strong call here now that aspects of ourselves that have been in the shadow, that have been previously ignored, are now coming to the surface because it's time to integrate them, to transmute them, and to it's this opportunity for reconciliation, resurrection, being born again. Literally, the Judgment card is really about this opportunity for these wounds to appear, to resurface, in order to be transformed, transformed and understood from a broader perspective, where we understand the lessons that have come from that challenging journey. So that's the energy to let go. So the energy that is coming in, the energy to embrace, beautiful. I mean, this is just a beautiful reading. The Eight of Wands with the Ace of Pentacles and the Star. So the Star is all about hope, one's hopes and dreams. It's about healing. The Eight of Wands is about fast movement forward, something coming in very quickly. And the Ace of Pentacles, this beautiful offer of a new start, a new beginning, and planting a seed towards the Ten of Discs, which is all about abundance. So I'm really feeling that, yeah, this rebirth is really about taking off the masks, Once these cycles are healed, this new beginning is going to come in quite rapidly. This new energy is going to come in quite rapidly when we destroy this old way of thinking and being and allow this and rebirth this new energy that is ready to come in, this fulfillment of a dream. Of our hopes and wishes that come in through this healing that needs to take place, where the mask falls, the scales form from our eyes. There's this kind of rebirth into our true selves, as the Lion's Gate cycle of eclipses have really been pushing us collectively to step into our authentic selves and have the courage and strength to do that. So this is very much about large cycles of birth, death, and rebirth, that eternal cycle, the ending of a huge cycle of learning. I say 7 years, but this feels much bigger than that. But for some of you, that 7 years may resonate. So it's really about making a final decision. That's really the place that we're at now. We need to make a final decision on these past cycles, whether that's a relationship or job or situation or family relations or any cycles that need to be completed. We're really being pushed and urged to close those cycles and to heal those relationships so that we can allow this new energy that wants to come in. The Ace of Pentacles is about a new manifestation, a manifestation of something new, this whole new life ahead that's going to unfold. In perfect happiness and contentment. It's just beautiful, the energy that wants to come in. And, Pentacles reflects the Star of David in Judaism, where, God was compared to a shield in the divine protection of David. So this is really pointing towards the fact that we are divinely protected now. There is this higher divine plan that's unfolded. And it really is all about, another message of the Star of David is this union of heaven and earth, bringing down the divine into the physical, both, collectively and as individuals. And it's also in Hinduism, the hexagram is Shiva is the masculine energy, and Shakti is the feminine, and there's that merging of the male and the female, the fire and the water. So there's very much that sense of merging of opposites, also with the sun and the moon here, integration of energies, achieving balance, harmony. So yet to come, beautiful, the Six of Swords featuring in this deck, Raphael, the Archangel of healing. And again, this message that we are protected. There's this real message of divine protection and guidance and healing. And it really can also be thought of us, this card can also be very much seen as the wounded child within, and our higher self accessing our wounded child and leaving that behind. Also very much inspired by Hermes. I don't know how you pronounce that, but yeah, you can see the Caduceus symbol of the perfect soul, where all aspects of the soul are in perfect harmony. So there's this message here of self-realization, moving away from the pain of our past and understanding them from a broader perspective, and the guidance and lessons from that lead us towards self-realization. And that's clarified by the Hanged Man and the Knight of Swords, which very much feels like an upside down Jesus on the cross here. So there's, I do feel there's that Christ consciousness energy coming through to heal our hearts, and the collective energy that's a huge part of this healing process that we're going through right now, with the Knight of Swords. So that's really about fast movement, a quest for knowledge and union and truth, in a very sort of spiritual sense, and taking action towards that, taking action towards speaking one's truth, to expressing and communicating one's true self. And I really do see the Eight of Wands in this card also it's a very much a message of vulnerability, that there's strength in vulnerability that's no longer perceived as a weakness. Expressing one's emotions is a strength. It takes strength and courage to express one's emotions and to be vulnerable. And so there's this need to go within with the Hanged Man. It's really a huge symbol of a turning point in one's life when one goes through this sort of metamorphosis. And it can be frustrating, this hangman energy can feel like being stuck, perhaps not knowing how to move forward. But there is a sense of needing to surrender and be patient and just allow things to unfold. We don't have to know what is next or know what to do or how to take action. It's really about trust. This card is about trust, taking a step back, taking a pause and trusting the divine plan, trusting that things are unfolding exactly as they're meant to. Beautiful messages here. So in the overall environment, the context within which this is unfolding, we have the Knight of Wands. So traditionally, the Knight of Wands is really about, taking this decision, this very passionate action, moving forward passionately. In the traditional deck, it is very much about the masculine energy, very fiery, passionate masculine energy, taking forward action to express oneself. In this deck, it's really very much pointing towards the dark night of the soul. So everyone's obviously at a different stage in their journeys, in their spiritual journeys, in their journey to realization or self-development or healing. We're all at different aspects of that path. So some of you may be feeling this full moon, depending on where you're at, really intensely, and very, a lot of painful things may be arising for you, and that's really just showing you what is still there that needs to be healed or transmuted and understood. And others of you may be already beyond this stage, but this is really about the enlightenment and wisdom that's gained from the journey of facing one's pain. And it's also about the search for power and energy, but not necessarily with the maturity that knows how to use that responsibly. The knights haven't quite gained the maturity of the king yet. So the goal here is really to transform that flame, that passion, that desire, that action into something constructive rather than destructive. It's really a fresh energy that can come in and transform things for good. So it's really just a message here to make sure you're really contemplating how are you using that power or energy that's coming in, and how can you use your gifts in a positive way for the good of all, for the collective. So interestingly that we have the Ace of Pentacles, because now that follows with the Two of Pentacles and the Three of Pentacles. I mean, beautiful. That's the third one is in the fourth deck. But, strong progression here, message of progression, evolution, and, leading to the Trinity symbol. So there's the sense of crystallization here that's taking place. So if you can see the Ace of Pentacles as the birth, the seed of an idea, of something new, and a beautiful new energy that's being seeded. And that's related to the Magician in the Major Arcana. So Magician is really about the manifestation stage, the idea, the seed of an idea that's being manifested. And so when you move to the Two of Discs, this is now very much about a it's the realm of energy of creation. So if you can see, that's related to the High Priestess. It's about intuition and guiding that idea into creation towards a specific goal. And moving to the crystallization stage of the Three of Discs. So that's very much about building a foundation. And that's come out here at the heart of the reading as the overall lesson. This is really about building a new foundation, the seed of this new energy that's being rebirthed. What does that look like? What is the collective dream, this star that came out? What is that dream? What is that vision of this new reality that we want to birth collectively? How do we envisage that? And that's Three of Discs is very much pointing towards that dream, crystallizing that dream and understanding that foundation needs to be built on something, a stronger vision that it had been in the past. So there's also a sense of a project that's already begun, and has been initiated. It's sort of like an alchemical wedding, building gold, from a from having merged together the lessons and experiences of the past, the long journey of the past, and having transmuted that, to dream and create a new reality. And so the Three of Discs is very much about having reached that stage of crystallization, understanding how we want that reality to look, and taking the action and putting it into action. Um, so yeah, the Trinity, there's so many messages with that, but the Two of Discs is also about eternity. There's that message of harmonious change, the eternal and natural balance of change that we all experience in life, that is inevitable. The ups and downs, gains and losses, weakness and strength, things grow and then they fade. And just accepting that in nature everything's constantly in change, and understanding that we're part of that change, and needing to accept that natural flow of life and surrender to that. And just our jobs within that is to handle it with presence and appreciation, seeing the both sides of every situation, seeing the gifts in our challenges, reaching that broader perspective. Um, and this is really, I'm seeing this as birthing that Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. It can also, represent the mind, idea, expression. I was in a meditation recently with some friends, and it came up as Mary, Jesus, and birthing of that Christ consciousness. So the union of the masculine and the feminine that come together in union to birth this third new energy on the planet. So moving into the energy to receive, we have the Five of Wands. So the Five of Wands is very much that halfway point on a journey. It's a message not to give up, to persevere, to be unrelenting and unwavering in your strength against any opposition that you're experiencing on your path. The fight is not over. We're not there yet. And it's really, with the lion here present, it's about understanding that the fight now is about conquering through the heart. That is the Leo path of integrity. And it's really reaching a point of no return as well here. And interesting that comes out as a clarifier, the devil and the hermit. So, this is all about battling through our shadow selves, our wounds, our addictions, our patterns of behavior that are based in ego and fear, and breaking that down. And the hermit is a message really to go within and to become more present and aware of our reactions before we move, to really look and question and be present and question, are we taking an action from a place of fear or from a place of love? And that's really what needs to shift moving forward. So the hermit is really about retiring from the outside world, retreating in order to achieve, some form of self-realization. But it's also about listening to one's inner voice, one's inner light. It's really about, it's beautiful. It's very connected to the card of the sun, actually, for me, and the star, because in the traditional deck, if I can find it, so the hermit is carrying a lantern with a star that's guiding him. So it's really representing his own inner wisdom and guidance that's shining a light in the darkness. So it's about reaching a point in one's struggles where one knows not to give up, and to trust that light that's being shone. Like the sun, banishing the darkness, how as wisdom bans ignorance and the sun shines light on the darkness. And it's really about forging an enlightened soul, fighting through the darkness of the devil of our shadow selves, and carrying through that energy into a new generation so that they can start their own idea. It's kind of like, it's the light of the sun that he's carrying inside his lantern, which represents the universe within the darkness of the moon. So, beautiful analogy here with the eclipse as well. So moving on to the energy of what is to energy to give, we have the Knight of Discs, and that's clarified beautifully by the Six of Discs. So much Earth energy here, and the Eight of Discs, which is featuring the Tree of Life, interestingly, in the Thoth deck. Another message of, that archangels that are guiding us right now, this higher divine plan that is guiding us right now. So the Knight of Discs in this particular deck features Gautama Buddha, so it's really about a message here about the middle path. As he said, do not dream of the past or the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment. So this is really a message here about balance, achieving balance and finding that middle path with regards to giving and receiving, and that exchange of energy between the masculine and the feminine, but also within ourselves and our paths. It's also a story of redemption, where he very much saw that suffering can't be ended by renouncing the body and living only in spirit, and equally he learned that you can't renounce the spirit and live only in the body. So it's just that perfect balance of bringing down one's higher self into one's physical reality and achieving that sense, as within, as without, as above, so below. That's really that message that's coming through here, particularly with the Eight of Discs, and also that sense of cause and effect. You reap what you sow, and the energy that you put into yourself right now and into the external is really reflected internally, and vice versa. And this is really a message for me about the importance of healing ourselves individually and the reflection of that externally, that we can only resolve the problems that we're facing on the planet and with humanity by healing ourselves as individuals, and how that is going to be reflected externally. So yeah, understanding that the world doesn't need to be fixed as well. There is that sense that we need to react to these joys and sorrows of life with peace, that peace that comes from within, understanding that the answers aren't outside of us. They come, they're coming from within. The answers that we're seeking are coming from within. And yeah, the lesson of the Seven is very much that everything needs time and consideration, and there's this movement towards the Eight here, which is more about patience and learning to be careful, to take time, to pause, to becoming the observer, and making decisions, moving forward in a very balanced, careful way. That's also the message of the Knight of Discs. He's moving forward in a very balanced, careful, thought-out way. But also a warning to that Earth energy is not to be overly cautious, because then obviously you're moving back into this fear, and that's where we get stuck. So overall energy, as the overall lessons, the Three of Discs, which is repeating this message. So that's really creating this third energy, this union that creates this third energy that's being birthed through hard work and the actions that are bringing something new to life, the creation and birth and manifestation of this new energy, this third energy, the alchemy of this union that creates the new reality that's being birthed. It's just this strong new foundation that's being built from the beginning once again. And so, yeah, it's really about nurturing. I'm getting this strong message here about nurturing the gifts that we've been given and that we've received, and becoming the master of those gifts in order to give back and to benefit others, to benefit. There's a higher purpose for this new beginning, and that's really, with the Fool and the Three of Cups, we have that celebration, again, happiness and joy that's feeling very much like this energy of the Sun, this new beginning that wants to come in, this lesson specifically about how that foundation is going to be built, and specifically how it's going to be built very differently to what has come before. So for the overall card, I pulled from the Lightworker Oracle deck, beautiful deck. We received the 17 family of light, which adds up to 8 beautifully. August, Leo, Lionsgate, all of those connections. So I'm feeling, yeah, this is really that message that's coming through about this awakening, awakening specifically to our heart, being at this heart-centered place that arises following this deeper healing and transmutation of these darker energies. We break through to this heart-centered place where we connect to a movement forward of building this foundation from the heart, from a place of being open, dissolving fears, and moving forward from who we really are, from that unconditional love and courage. But I'm going to read this from the book because it's just a really beautiful message. So the message of this card is really about the limits that humanity place on their love. We're very capable of loving humanity and all of creation as an extended spiritual family that we are a part of, this broader family of light. And some souls have incarnated to learn about duality, the sense of us and them. But there are others of you that have come here for the purpose of teaching unconditional love. And if you're listening to this reading, it's highly likely that you are one of those, and that you're here to take that love to the many, not just the few that are around you. And it's for this that, this life purpose that needs to be anchored, that these cycles of karmic learning, this Seven of Swords, that's really what needs to be completed now. There's that strong message that, you have a higher purpose here to focus on the heart and unconditional love, and you can't do that until you've healed your own heart. And so that's why this is such a pressing message here, to close those cycles so that you can step into your true purpose. So that really is about, looking at your shadow self, looking at the root aspects of your family. If you had a father or mother absent, understanding what the deeper lesson, what the deeper learning was within that pain that you experienced. There's a lot of lessons in not growing up in that sort of perfect family, conventional family. There's really the biggest lesson there is learning what is your purpose within that absence. The emotional healing that you went through to process that pain has really pushed you to find that love within, and understand that unconditional love comes from within rather than from any external source. And that's really been, the path of learning for people who have had those experiences, when you're able to reach that deeper understanding. Now, some of you may not be there yet, but, it's really about understanding that the difficulties that we've experienced have a deeper purpose for our learning and growth, and ultimately what we're here to do, what our purpose is to bring here on the planet. And so, yeah, I think this is really pointing towards knowing that we belong here as part of this broader family, and it's time now to bring that energy forward and come together with our like-minded soul families, and build our own human family that's joined together more than just, blood family, blood, or any legal union. But understanding really that we are here for this higher purpose of giving and receiving love. That's really joy, love, joy, and happiness. I'm going to close it on that note. I hope these messages resonated for you. It's obviously a general reading. I am going to be recording messages for the divine feminine and masculine energies, and potentially also one for divine love and the path to union. That potentially, if I am able to, will record those this week. And in the meantime, I wish you a beautiful full moon eclipse. Much love.